All right, so my name is Gillian Payne. I am the Leadership Advocacy Coordinator at the Littlest Tumor Foundation. So basically what I do at LTF is I help run our young adult programming as well as help run a lot of the advocacy that we do, both in the United States and now around the world. Thanks a lot to this event. I'm just here to talk about the NF Young Adult International Summit that we had this past year in April, as well as the one that we have coming up. But first, I just want to talk a little bit about how the summit came about, as well as just about what the event is. Me and Tracy, the CEO and founder of the Littlest Tumor Foundation, had discussed um, how, there's not a lot of NF programming specifically for young adults. It often tends to be pretty focused on children or pretty focused on, parents or older adults. And so we talked about a lot of ways that we could be reaching this specific demographic, and so that we can be growing a community in that demographic, as well as just providing education that's very specific to that age group. And so we approached Klaus and Vanessa at the Children's Tumor Trust, and at the Childhood Tumor Trust. And we decided that we wanted to plan this NF Young Adult International Summit, where we provided educational workshops and programming, as well as community building programs and workshops for NF young adults from around the world. So this was a multi-day event that takes place over a single weekend. It's, open for anyone affected by NF between the ages of 18 and 30, and of course, people who work with those groups, with that group of people. And of course, that includes, whether you're a young parent with a child with NF, whether you personally have NF1, NF2, or schwannomatosis, or if you have a family member affected by NF. So the goal of the event was, to educate, NF impacted young adults from around the world, fill gaps in programming for NF impacted young adults. Again, just because there's not a lot of programming very specific to that demographic in the NF community, and then as well as, building community. I'm sure a lot of us have met a lot of people. Me personally, I know a lot of the people that I have worked with that have NF who are young adults. Oftentimes, if they don't have a family member who has NF, oftentimes they've never met another person with NF. So being able to grow this community, especially on an international scale, is just a really cool thing that we saw happen with this event, and we're really proud of. So the 2021 summit was, a resounding success. We had over 130 participants sign up to be part of the event. This included people from the United States to Europe to as far as South Africa and so many more countries. I think we had representation from over 15 to 20 countries. Um, and we also did a survey after the program that showed really strong approval for the programming that we had, as well as just for the overall event. This was the schedule for our program in 2021. As you see, Dr. Leah who just spoke, actually came and spoke at our event as well. But obviously, the programming was really centered towards young adults impacted by NF. So having workshops about, reproductive health and care, and making sure that they know everything that they need so that they can start planning their future, whether they choose to have a family or not, as well as just sharing experiences of other people with NF. We had a panel of young adults who are leaders in the NF community who spoke about their experiences doing advocacy and other sorts of things. And it was a really incredible panel, as well as having, we had Arush Aftab come in she's a social media influencer who has NF and advocates really openly for NF using social media. So it was a really, really incredible event. And also, you know, we had social activities to make sure that the NF young adults could also connect and just be typing away in the chat and talking to each other. So it was a really incredible success. So this year's summit, we originally, when Tracy and I, you know, were thinking up this program, we didn't know that there was going to be a pandemic. So we imagined it, you know, like happening in person. And so we're really excited that this year's event is going to be a hybrid event. So we are going to host the summit in New York City from from April 8th to 10th of 2022. But we wanted to make sure that people who aren't able to attend in person are still able to have access to all of the information that's shared at the summit. So we'll also be having, you know, a virtual event, a virtual stream of the event. And also another thing that is really incredible about this year's event is that we actually have a group of young adults who came to last year's summit, and a few of whom are just leaderships in different organizations um, who are helping us plan all of the programming for this upcoming summit. So it's really cool because we're also building leaders in the community by, you know, giving them the opportunity to really make this event for them and having them involved in every step of the process.